Hey guys, it's Leo. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you guys a video on calligraphy for beginners. I'm super excited about this video. I've had a lot of my friends and some of you guys reach out and ask, how do I do all that pretty hand lettering that you do in your videos and just all that stuff? So I thought in today's video I would show you guys the basics of calligraphy and how I achieve the look that I get. Also, so that you guys can maybe have more fun with hand lettering in general. And this is for beginners. I think I'm going to make this a series and do more, but this is the basics. Starting off, here are some of the pens I'm going to be showing you guys today. The first one is the Tombow dual brush pen. This is a bigger tip. These are probably my favorite brush pens, and they come in a ton of colors. These are the Tombow Fudenosuke hard and soft tips. The hard tip is the blue one, and the soft tip is the green one. And these are some smaller black brush pens. They also come in colors, but my favorite ones are the black ones. Believe it or not, you can do calligraphy with Crayola markers too. So I'm going to be showing you guys them at the end of the video too. And one of my favorite brush pens that I've had for a few weeks are these mildliner brush pens, and they're pretty awesome too. And then also at the end of the video, I'm going to be showing you how to take a normal fine liner like this one and turn it into a calligraphy as well. Alright, so moving on to basically the first step. The biggest thing that you need to remember is a thin upstroke and a thick downstroke. I'm going to say it again. A thin upstroke and a thick downstroke. This is probably the most important part of calligraphy, and I feel like a lot of people try to skip this beginning step and go straight to trying to do all the fancy lettering. So what you really want to do when you first start is take the pen, whichever one you're using, and practice pushing really lightly and really hard down so that you can get those really thin upstrokes and really thick downstrokes. After that, you're going to go on to about the second step, which will be next, and you'll see that that is kind of doing different lines up and down to practice getting the thin up and thick down. And as you'll see in a minute, I'm demonstrating that is a upstroke and that is a downstroke. So when you're going up, that's an upstroke, and down is a downstroke. So that's a very important part, and that means that the upstroke is, of course, going to be thinner than the downstroke. And that's pretty much the most important part of hand lettering and calligraphy, in my opinion. You just really need to get the basics down. In calligraphy, you basically have 3 different levels for your lettering. You have your X height, your ascenders, and then your descenders. And one way that you can practice having these different letters is by drawing a box like this one that is 3 inches tall and I think 6 inches long, but you can of course just not even have how long, just mark your different sections. The top section that you are seeing me draw right now is for the ascenders, the middle one is for the X height, and then the bottom one is for the descenders. So I didn't quite write those exact terms, but those are the exact terms, the upper, lower, and middle areas. And for the X height, those are all of your letters like A's, C's, X's that only have, that don't go above or below a normal center line. The descenders are the letters like J's and G's that go below the X height and go under. And then the ascenders like L's and H's are the ones that go over the X height. As you see, I kind of ran out of room, but you get the picture. That is basically the 3 different levels. We've got the different kinds of letters out of the way. I'm going to show you guys some strokes that I would recommend practicing before you jump into just straight lettering. The first one is just a zigzag up and down, which is a very common movement out of a lot of letters like H's and K's, and all of those. And then the second one is an E shape, and those are nice for a lot of the lower letters in the X height. The third is more of an L shape where you're doing the large lines, and then the last one is a J, which is practicing the descenders. So those are my 4 big ones that I like people to practice. And also, speaking of that, the biggest thing is to practice. You can't just get good at hand lettering and calligraphy without doing any work. And this is basically how I recommend you practice. So, when I say practice, what do I mean? Basically, the first few things that I think you should do are the things we've already covered. So make sure you're practicing your up and down strokes, like in the first part, and then also adding on to that with the different strokes that I showed you in the last clip to practice your different strokes. Then the second thing I think that is very important is practicing individual letters, especially the entire alphabet. That is the next step. I am right now drawing out all the letters so you guys can see some of the different ways to write them. In this step, I would recommend kind of finding your own style with the lettering, but just make sure if you're trying to do traditional calligraphy that you are, of course, doing the thin upstrokes and the thick downstrokes. You can also stylize a lot of your letters. Like you can see, my R's and my S's are a little bit different than some other people's, as well as my K's. You can kind of do whatever you want, and my Z is a little different too. So anyway, this is the next step, and then the last step for this is really putting it all together. And what I mean by that is connecting your letters together and writing out different words and sentences and everything. The one that I recommend people using is the quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog, because you can practice all of your letters and make sure you don't do what I did and run out of space on the side. But you know what? That's pretty much the best thing that you can do now is just practice, practice, practice. It makes perfect. Even though mine isn't perfect by any means, it definitely is better than when I started. And also, I'm just going to say this right now in the video. I probably should have said it earlier, but you can, of course, start off with any brush pen. But at the end, I will be showing you guys more of the brush pens and know what they look like. But I would recommend starting out with a smaller brush pen. I am using a bigger brush pen so that it can be seen easier with the up and down strokes. But I would suggest starting out with a smaller brush pen personally. So make sure you're practicing your sentences and words and practice putting the letters together, not just individually. And then here is how I do fake calligraphy. This is the first way that I actually did learn what calligraphy was, and it really did help me realize the up and down strokes before I got a brush pen, because I didn't get that for a while. Basically what you're going to do is just write out whatever word you're going to be using, and then on the downstrokes where you would normally have a brush pen do that for you, you are going to draw a thicker stroke. You can of course color that in, but I did want to show you guys what it looks like uncolored in, and then I did a very thin line for another word with the Crayola super tip and showing you guys how to do it again. So there you go. That's pretty easy, and I think it's really cute too. So here are some of the calligraphy pens I'm going to be showing you guys today. The first one is a Tombow Fudenosuke soft tip brush pen. This one is nice and flexible, which is why I personally prefer the Tombow Fudenosuke hard tip, which you will be seeing next. It's a little bit harder to control the soft tip, but the lettering is very nice, and also this is a smaller brush pen, so it is really easy to handle. But as you'll see in a second, the hard tip, which is the blue one, is a little bit better at having thinner upstrokes and thicker downstrokes. But both pens are really nice and work really well, and I find that they are very durable and their tips don't bend very well. So they're really nice pens, and they're only about $5 for both of them on Amazon. So definitely would recommend getting those for like a first starter brush pen. Then we have the Tombow dual brush pens. These are the bigger brush pens you saw me using throughout the entire video, and these are probably my favorite brush pens. and they come in a lot of colors, and you can get different packs or whatever you want, and they're just really nice, flexible, and their tips also don't bend. Again, you can do calligraphy with Crayola markers, except for the tips on them do kind of have issues with bending. I'll show you in a minute, but after writing that entire word, which doesn't look too bad, the pen has kind of smushed down to the other side. So not that that's a big issue, but just something to keep in mind. And then the last brush pen I'm showing you guys today is a mildliner brush pen, and I really like these. The tips are really flexible and nice, but they're easy to control, and I really enjoy them. So that's another pen that I would definitely recommend buying if you haven't gotten that one yet. So those are my brush pen recommendations and kind of a swatch of all of them. That is it for today's video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you next week for my February plan with me.